Sea Salt & Company. I am now going to go over the Sculpt and Define section of our newest collection, the Beauty Box. Now, what is sculpting and defining? It's also known as highlighting and contouring. Contouring is when you use darker tones to shade areas of the skin that you would like to define or reshape, such as the nose, forehead, chin, cheekbones. It gives dimension back into our subject's facial features and body as well. Highlighting is the opposite of contouring, and it accentuates the areas with light. To properly highlight, we want to use shades or tones that are 2 shades lighter than your skin, or a highlighter that flattens the complexion of your subject to emphasize those areas of the face that naturally catch the light, such as where the places are on the face that the sun would naturally touch, such as the middle of the forehead, the bridge of the nose, and under the eyes to brighten those areas up. In the digital world, we call this technique dodging and burning. Photoshop does have a dodge and burn tool that we can use to replicate contouring and highlighting when we're retouching our images. However, with further research, we found that the dodge and burn method can be tedious, and it's not as efficient to those who's wanting to speed up their workflow. So we are extremely excited to have created this digital contour and highlight palette. All skin tones will benefit from this section. We have 3 contour palettes, one for light skin, deep skin, and also a universal, which is good for either or. If you're really in a hurry just wanting to get through some images, it's really quick. And we also have the highlight action called Skin Glow, which can be used with or without contouring, add on to the retouching on your image, and that really just applies the highlight to the areas it needs to be. Within our contour palettes, there is highlighting shades as well. We also have a bronzer in this section called What a Beach, and it applies a suntan to your skin without giving your subject the Oompa Loompa look. It's a natural, beautiful tan tone to the subject, and you can adjust the opacity as you need as well. So I'm going to show you with this image, just quickly, how to use our contour and highlighting palettes. For this subject, I'm going to use our Sculpt in Face and Light, as she is lighter skinned, and I'm going to press play. After you run this action, you're going to get a pop-up, and it's going to talk about this action, how to use it, and what it's best for, that I'm going to show you. If you open up the group layers in Photoshop, if you have Photoshop elements, you do not have a grouped layer. All of your layers are opened and created a clipping mask over a duplicated background layer. So you will still have the same layers, but they're not in a group. If you're in full Photoshop, open this group, and you will see all the colors that are within this palette. There is 4. 2 of the shades are meant for highlighter shades, and then 2 shades for the contouring. If your subject is really pale, or maybe an ivory type skin tone, you might want to go with the medium cocoa contours. It's not too dark for your subject, and vice versa. If the skin tone is a little bit darker in the light section, such as like a tan or a medium beige complexion, a darker cocoa might be your best bet. Each of these adjustment layers has a black layer mask. You will need to click on the black layer mask with the color that you want to use to make sure you apply that color to your subject. Do not click on the colored boxes, but the black layer mask. Make sure you have your brush selected, and make sure you have a white foreground color to apply this effect. So I'm going to start with the shade Dark Cocoa. So with my brush selected, I just want to emphasize the facial features. So with contouring, what I want to do is I just want to go up underneath the cheekbone. I also want to apply a little bit in the forehead area on the side of the temple, on each side. I also want to apply this down the sides of the bridge of her nose. And now all I need to do is to blend my contour out. But first you want to make sure your brush is selected and change your foreground color to black. And erase back areas where the color should not be. I'm going to go down and define the nasal area a bit more to make it look naturally sculpted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dial back in my contour up in the forehead, So I'm going to change the opacity of my brush to 40%. And I'm going to make sure that I have black as my foreground colors. I'm going to be erasing back to help blend in the contour and the temple area to give it a nice natural shaded look. I'm then going to do the same thing underneath the cheekbone area to really blend in this effect. I will turn the layer off. So this is before we added the contour, and turn it back on. And you'll see it immediately help chisel and define the subject's face. Next thing I want to do is add a little bit of highlight under the eyes, on the bridge of the nose, and then the forehead. So I'm going to make sure I have a white as my foreground color. I'm going to select my brush again. And for this one, I'm going to use the light cocoa shade, and I'm just going to apply this in the mid of the forehead, down the bridge of the nose, and on the highest point of the cheekbone. I'm also going to apply this on the chin area and just right on top of the Cupid's bow. Now if I turn this layer off, you can see the before, and here's the after where it lit up where the natural light would fall on the face. What I'm going to do is lower the opacity of this layer. And then I'm also going to go up here to the dark cocoa where I contoured with, and I'm going to lower that opacity as well. And as you can see, the before and the after, we really define the features of our subjects. So that is how you use our Sculpt and Define section of our newest collection, the Beauty Box. Thank you for watching.